outside the off stump. Oh, he's caught it! I don't believe it! Tom Kohler-Cadmore has caught the most magnificent catch at short third man. It's the end of Daniel Sams, and Somerset have won the Vitality Blast 2023. They've bowled Essex out for 131.
Hello there, you're listening to Always Look on the Bright Side of Life. This is the Somerset Cricket Podcast. My name's Ian Shepherd. Joining me this evening, I've got Steve Tancock, Head of Digital for Somerset CCC. Birthday boy Ben Warren. Many happy returns, Ben. And La Voix du Cricket sur BBC Radio Somerset. Antoine Gibson, who is currently on vacances in France. It looks
like Britannia.
On Britannia. It looks like you're sat in the front of your what's that? A mobile
camping car.
Camping car. That's your new commentary box? Is it, Gibbo? It's sort of mobile. Your answer to
the better view from me than you do from the blooming cubicle.
He went early.
We went early. Is that your answer to the Sky Sports pod? Is it your camper van?
Yeah. Absolument.
Well, I'll tell you what, I look forward to seeing that touring the various county grounds in 2024.
Driving to Durham next year.
Well, it could be, couldn't it? Are you praying that it's just the one fixture and it's at Taunton, Gibbo?
No, I enjoy taking. I really would enjoy.
Gibbo's frozen. I suspect we might be in and out all evening with Gibbo. With his wife. He's back. Well, I suppose one trip for a 4-day game's not too bad. Up and back for a T20 or a 1-day is a bit of a chore.
Half my family come from Durham, so I've got I'm always keen to see them do well. I'm delighted they've been promoted.
I think we all are. So I think we've all got a soft spot for Durham. Good birthday, Ben.
Yeah, it's been full of meetings at work. Which is
lovely. That's what happens when you get old, isn't it?
Yeah.
Any juicy goss? Are we allowed to ask? Well, I suppose we're allowed to ask. It's whether you're allowed to tell us or not.
Membership goes on sale on Tuesday, the 19th of September. Is that juicy enough gossip?
Well, so that'll do. If that's the best you got for us, Ben, then we'll have to make do with the slim pickings. Yeah, that's day one of the Kent game.
There'll be a few bits going out before that, I reckon, if you keep your eye on the channels.
Oh, any contract news?
I couldn't possibly say.
All right.
He's looking cheerful though. He's looking cheerful. That's encouraging.
Is this Well, I think we're all very keen to see Lewis Gregory and a couple of others put pen to paper. But before we start speculating on our regular weekly rant and whinge and moan about why Lewis Gregory hasn't gone public with his new contract signing yet. So we have a little talk about Hampshire then, Gibbo. I remember talking to you last week in front of an invisible palm tree where you said that, we're going to lose to Hampshire, and you were absolutely spot on. Do you impart to, again, a not good enough really performance first innings with the bat? Now if you'd like, I can just cut and paste where we talk about a lack of top order runs and the problems with opening the batting from an earlier podcast, and we can just all knock it on the head for this week, or shall we deal with Hampshire in depth? The surprise for me was, after being named in the squad, that Andy Umeed didn't take his place at the top of the order and move Tom Lammerby down to the middle order where we thought he might be a bit more comfortable. I think, Steve, I suppose that they are keeping the faith in Lammers.
I think, yes. I don't know whether it'd be fair to say blind faith, but I agree with you. But then I thought afterwards that if Sean Dixon's on paternity leave next week, they probably didn't want to move Lammerby down to 4 and then back up to open again. And one assumes that Umeed would take that place. But I'm just finding it hard that, when we have the same problems in the first innings, when James Rue can't play the get out of jail card free for us, then it's almost inevitable. And it was, I found Anthony, I do feel sorry for him because it was pretty tedious listening from a distance that sort of pitch doesn't do, and I'm not blaming the pitch for the results, so don't anyone accuse me of that. I just don't think those sort of pitches do any good at all. But having said that, if you are going to perform in the Championship, you have to put runs on the board in the first innings. And as you said, Ian, you could probably cut and paste about 8 editions of this pod this summer.
8?
And probably, maybe a bit more. And just, it's that air of inevitability, isn't it? That, Hampshire probably got a few more than they should have done. Yes, Dawson caught and bowled, but that happens. And then you thought once they got where they got to in the first innings, you were like, can see what's happening here. And that's what I find so disappointing. I was so proud at the end of that first day, the way that bowling attack performed. And so unproud the next day at the way the batting lineup didn't.
Yeah, 308 all out Hampshire in that first innings, so it was 109.2 over, so just creeping over into the second day. You were pretty critical of that pitch, Gibbo. Where's your money? Do we think Gibbo's frozen or not?
I think he has.
We'll wait for Gibbo to come back. Ben, you didn't make it there till day 2, is that right?
No, I didn't make it there at all in the end.
Did you not? I thought you were doing the old live stream gubbins for the club finals day, and then you were off down to the Aegeus Bowl. But
yeah, that was the original plan. But a few bits cropped up. But I agree. It was just really disappointing, particularly after what were they, 50 for 1? In that at that stage you thought, they're going on okay. I mean, Hampshire bowled very well, but I think they didn't bowl. They didn't need to bowl that well. That's the worry, isn't it? It was Barker, who hasn't had the best season, but if I remember rightly, bowled Somerset out last year at the Aegeus. So, yeah, I think just that was the most disappointing thing, is that it didn't take a Herculean effort to bowl Somerset out, which it should have been on that pitch. If they, Bass, Abbott, Barker, Dawson, they're a good attack and they bowl very, very well, but they should have walked off that pitch after the first innings, knowing that they've had to really fight for those.
It should have been a blood seeping out your boots job, and it wasn't really. 137 all out in 54 overs. As you say, 5 for 32 for Keith Barker, 3 for Liam Dawson, and a couple of wicket each for Abbas and Abbott. So
I think Keith Barker had only taken 14 championship.
Yeah, they were saying something like that.
Game.
He's not had a great season with the ball, but he seems to turn it on against Somerset. I'm just trying to cast my mind back to some of these dismissals now. TKC walked down the pitch, didn't he? I didn't see Andy Umeed stump in. Tom Abel was pretty adjacent, wasn't he, with his LB? Dixon, first innings, was that the one he had a big slash at, or was that second innings?
I think he just sort of poked it one and edged it, just it slipped. I think.
Yes, second innings was the big hit. Yeah.
Lammonby, as is his wont, seems to be getting caught in either the first slip or by the keeper to a regulation defensive shot on or around or stump. I mean, that seems to be for me seems to be the weakness that he's got to sort out, because that's how he seems to be getting out week in, week out.
Yeah, I think
in the second innings he was stumped for 9, which that to me is a sign of brain fade rather than anything else.
Yeah.
I think in the first, given the fact he hasn't played cricket in a month, and that's obviously, whether he should have been picked on that merit is up for debate. But I think he batted well in the first innings, but he has got a tendency of chewing up a lot of deliveries and then not making it count. The best players, if they survive 50 balls, they'll go on and make an opposition really pay. And I know that opening the batting isn't straightforward in England, but that's even more reason when you face 50 balls to go and make big scores. And because you won't always face 50 balls, there's always
and it's the 50 most. And you're going to be facing, the 2 best bowlers at their freshest with a new ball.
And so I think that's, that is if you're an opener and you get through 50 balls, I think your conversion rate has to be a lot higher than what it is at the moment. But there was some signs. I'll give him a little bit of sympathy in the second innings. He got a lot of criticism for being stumped, and I totally appreciate that. It was a misjudgment. I think there's obviously a logic there that they're trying to disrupt a bowler of his length.
It was probably the only ball that Liam Dawson bowled that didn't turn. It just went straight on. So, yeah, I can understand you can give him that, but then do you need...
I think that there's probably a school of thought that if he just let Liam Dawson bowl at him without... And he is a good player of spin.
Yeah.
And he moves his feet well to the spinners. So, I think obviously execution, not great. Whether he should have been doing his first over, maybe not. But I don't think it was as shocking a shot as potentially it was made out to be. It was just a player who's not in a lot of form at the moment.
The thing is, Ben, I can't speak for everyone. I desperately want him to succeed, and it makes it. I was actually at work in a meeting, came out of the meeting, flicked the score on, saw one down, saw it was Lammonby, and almost just went like that when I saw stumped. So I didn't see it live, but it's that just give me something to back my faith in you, Lammers. Because he is, I've said this on here so many times, he is an exceptional talent. He's got so many gifts. And, that we saw it, didn't we, in 2020 was not going to, his career is not going to say that was a one summer. But he has got the ability at this level to play not just big innings, but lovely big innings. And it's just so frustrating.
You're absolutely spot on. That 100 he scored against Essex in the Bob Willis Trophy final was one of the better knocks I've seen I wasn't there at Worcester. I know Anthony was, but the way he played Harmer, I don't think I've seen a Somerset player play Harmer as well as he did that day. And so he clearly has a lot of that was in a right arm off spinner bowling to a left-hander, which is a difficult proposition in the second innings of any match. I know that pitch at Lords didn't spin massively, but the way he played that was brilliant. And I think it is going to be really important for him to establish where his place lies in this team over the next 12 to 18 months. If he's going to be in it, because you cannot keep averaging 20 over in the batting.
No.
I said the same thing. I was talking about George Bartlett a couple of weeks ago about maybe why he hasn't sort of got a 3-year deal with Somerset like he has up at Northants, and it feels like we're talking in the same way about Tom Lammonby as we were George Bartlett. He's in exactly the same position now that he was 12 months ago, in that he's shown signs but not really nailed that opening slot down. I mean, what's his numbers for 2023? 518 runs from 21 innings, high score of 78, average 27.26 with 4 50s and no hundreds. He got a couple of hundreds last year, didn't he? So his numbers are probably a tick worse this year than they were last year.
And the other, and this you can never measure this, but the knock-on effect it has on 3, 4, 5, because Anthony's still not been able to connect from the wild blue yonder. But if Anthony was on now, he would say Tom Abel comes in the third, fourth over nearly every innings, and that means that quite often whoever's batting 4. Perhaps that was the logic of batting a Mead at 4, that we thought we'd need an opener batting at 4. And I've been slightly cynical about it, but I don't know. With 2 games to go, Kent at Taunton, I really do want to see Banton and Lewis Goldsworthy given a chance, and I would actually take the opportunity of picking both if I could. And I know it's really revolutionary, but I'd say to the two of them, go on then. You have 2 games now. I'd like us to finish at least.
Was it
fifth.
fair to say to them you've got 2 games when
You've got
Lammonby
2
and Dixon have
games
had
this
all season? Do you know what I mean? Yeah, I kind of get what you mean. Yeah, not two games to play for your contract, but
No. 2 games. You've got the last 2 games, so they don't go into the Kent games thinking if I fail here, I'm not going to play at Edgbaston. We should still be looking, and then again, it's not what I want to be saying that we're looking at competing for 5th or even 4th, but the 2 games we've got are both winnable games. Mm-hmm. Warwickshire are very up and down this season, aren't they? They've been really good at times and horrid at times. It'd be nice to lay the bogey of Edgbaston a couple of years ago, that dreadful last game there. So let's pick the strongest team we can, and if I think for me it goes back to if the batsmen showed as much gut, and I've got to be careful because I want to say they're gutless, but from the outsider looking in, when you see how hard Jack Brooks and the others, Lewis Gregory must have been struggling there with fitness. He put in a gargantuan effort in that first innings. Jack Brooks bowled exceptionally well. The other bowlers around him disgraced themselves. And after all that hard work, you could just imagine Jack Brooks putting his feet up in the pavilion on, before lunch on the second
poor old
day,
Jack
and
Brooks
then going,
5 for 56 in that first innings, and then what does he get? 54 overs rest. So he's back out bowling after tea. It's not great, is it?
No, and that was only going to go one way at that point, wasn't it?
Yeah, Jack Brooks was certainly a highlight. I think that he bowled really, really well, and I thought there was always a nagging thought. I think in the first innings that if Jack Brooks was, no sort of criticism of Jack, but if Jack Brooks was just nibbling at a bit of swing, what would happen when we bat? But credit to Jack. He certainly put in a really big shift there, and it when he took that 5th wicket, it was clear what it meant to him, and it was only his second 5 I think for Somerset in first class cricket. So it's something that I know he will hold pretty close to him.
Yeah, Guildford 2019, I think, from memory, was the other one.
Yeah, I think it was. Just got distracted here. That was been Trez's last game, I think, wasn't it? Guildford 2019.
It was, yeah.
Gibbo's back, or is he?
This Ethereal G appeared on the screen.
Ethereal G, that's a great nickname. Your G's like gangster, so like the Ethereal G.
Yeah, it sounds like a rapper, doesn't it?
It does, yeah. You could have Ethereal G and the Wurzels.
That would pack him in at the
there you go
awards dinner if Anthony was hosting and DJing it. Ben, that'd be something
one
to
of our
think
One
about.
Day Cup theme nights. Ethereal G and the Wurzels. Gibbo, how you doing?
I'm back.
You're back. We were just kind of picking over the bones of of Hampshire. We were just talking about Jack Brooks's efforts in the first innings, belying his age.
Yeah, he did well. He bowled his heart out as always, but as he said to me himself, he has lost a bit of nip, at the age he is, and he's nearing the end of his career. The bowling is going to be a worry against Kent, especially without Craig Overton. I don't know about Casey Aldridge, whether he's going to be fit or not, but I think the thing that we were out bowled and out batted by Hampshire. It was simple as that. They bowled better than us, and they batted better than us. What worries me about the run into the end of the season is Tom Abel's form as much as anything. Mm-hmm. He hasn't scored runs in red ball cricket, or he didn't get many in the 100, and he didn't do much in the blast either. And when I talked to him at the end, he was he clearly was worried about his own form, and he's our main man at the moment. But before the Wi-Fi completely evaporates, I would like to see Tom Banton and Lewis Goldsworthy included in the side for Kent.
We were just saying that. I mean, both have made. They haven't made the strongest of cases because they are both playing for the second team at the moment. against Worcester at the Vale, and they both only made 5 today. Somerset 91 for 8 in 32 overs, responding to Worcester's 297, and it's going to be left to Rue Jr., Thomas Rue's 14 not out, and Blaze Baker, younger brother of Sonny, to steer us out of trouble. I saw a couple of those nice little in-swingers from Blaze that you clipped up and put on social media, Ben. I just cast my mind back about 2 or 3 years, and there was a couple almost identical big booming in-duckers from Sonny. So
yeah, it was a funny old day at the Thornton Vale, because they had Worcester about sort of 7 or 8 down for not many, and then I think it was number sort of 8 and 10 put on a huge stand, and then they've needed to sort of
got 85 and Gibbon 84. So yeah,
but yeah, Blaze Baker was certainly has bowled a couple of decent balls there, and he looks a good prospect. Sort of in swinging, sort of medium pace. So he looked a good prospect. But yeah, I mean that's the disappointing thing about for the second team last week against Surrey, there was a lot of inexperience, so you could kind of put that down as a bit of a non-game. But this one's a bit different, really.
Davey and Aldridge are there, but neither of them bowled. 3 wickets for young Blaze, couple for old Ned Leonard, and 3 for Archie Vaughan, I presume, bowls off spin like his old man. Ben Green opening the bowler. I mean, with the best of respect to Greener, he's not what you call a classic new ball bowler, is he? As in sort of banging it in back of a length, trying to get the outside edge or whatever with the new ball. So he none for 33 off 7. And JP Hayward, not sure who that is, but you got a couple of wickets to 37 from his 5 overs. But yeah, Aldridge not bowling and Davey not bowling, which is strange, you think, given that they're in the side to get a few overs under their belts before next week, because the cupboard is looking pretty bare for Kent bowling wise.
I think they're both still hampered by their injuries. I know I spoke to Casey Friday, and sort of he was in the gym working hard, but still was saying it was sore, his side. So and Josh was again in the gym today. I know he's down on the card, but obviously there's a week to go before the Kent game, so it's good that they got this rest week. But I wouldn't be surprised if they didn't play, because they still seem to be a little way off at the moment.
So we got then.
Well, bring your big skipper is all I'm going to say.
Is Gregory going to be fit to bowl? He didn't look very fit down at Aegeus Bowl.
No, 4 overs in that second dig, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I think probably the second innings it was a strategic. Let's not burn him out with Craig getting called up and injury doubts around. So it's probably the more of a let's not run him into the dirt sort of setup. But I'd hopefully Lewis is fit and Jack Brooks. Fittish, yeah.
Well, you probably want to play 4 bowlers plus Lewis, don't you? So if you're going to say you would pick, assuming everything else is equal, Josh Davey, Neil Wagner and Jack Brooks, as 3 of those 4.
Josh Davey sounds as if he's going to be fit.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I'm saying if
going to be fit, so we can forget Josh Davey, we can forget Casey Aldridge. We got half fit Lewis Gregory. We've got no Craig Overton. We've got Jack Brooks, who's doing his best at his advantage. And we've got Ben Green, who bangs it in.
Wagner.
And you got Wagner.
Yeah.
Who isn't quite the force that he was. I was disappointed down at the Aegeus Bowl. He didn't really go for that. leg theory stuff against the right-handed batsman, digging it in short. He tried it a few times, it didn't really work, and I don't know.
Very, very slow pitch, though, wasn't it?
It was dreadful.
Yeah, it's one you could have. It's almost one where there's no real merit to banging it in short when it's as flat and lifeless as it was.
It was
I don't think you can judge Neil Wagner too much on that. I'd be interested to see what sort of pitch we prepare against Kent, whether they'll give him a bit of pace to work with.
I doubt it. Well,
of course, we haven't had much pace in any of the pitches we've had at Taunton so far this year, so it's difficult to see.
Surprising.
Yeah,
I mean, as flat as a pancake.
Before we move on to the sides for Kent, then anything else on the Hampshire game? I thought TKC batted well second time round.
Yeah, he did. He batted very well. Yeah.
I mean, it just kind of shows really. You had 3 scores around the between 308 and 330. Okay, all right. Hampshire's was for 3 declared. But yeah, just what an outlier that 137 all out is, and that's really what cost us the game.
It was.
Yeah. It was nice to see Dixon get 60 in the second innings, but
it's what you say. You need to go on.
It was just a shame that he couldn't go on really, because again he's still waiting that first Somerset 100, and it must be brilliant for a new signing to get their 100 under their belts early, and it just hasn't happened for Sean, has it? So I'm sure he'll be pleased to have got the 60 odd, but.
He was bowled through the gate. Your opening batsman shouldn't be bowled through the gate. Not on that pitch. Yeah.
Well, they should be stumped either, Anthony.
True. Well, I don't know what was going through Tom Lammonby's head then. He batted so well, and then giving Dawson the charge.
Don't worry, we've dissected it through all sorts of various lenses while you were trying to get the Wi-Fi on, Gibbo, so don't worry. But again, yeah, that second innings is really a case in point of guys not going on. Dixon 63 in and out, Umid 25, TKC got 84, but you're thinking on that pitch, once you're in, you should be in for better breakfast. Rue 36, Gregory 34 as well, so all guys you think are capable of going on and getting big runs, and it didn't really happen for them.
I think to be fair, by the time TKC was going on the 4th day, there was probably quite a bit of spin and a bit of variable bounce, and the ball he got out did turn quite sharply out of the rough. So, but yeah.
On to Kent then. So this is my proposed lineup, assuming Dixon is on his paternity leave. Umid Lammonby, Abel, Goldsworthy at 4, TKC at 5, Rue at 6, Banton at 7, Gregory at 8. I did say Overton at 9 before he got picked in the English squad. So Brooks at 9, Wagner at 10, and then my 11th, I'm going. Well, it's either Green, Bashir. Obviously it's Davey or Aldridge if they're fit. If not, between Green or Bashir. Well, we'll call that my 12.
I reckon Ned Leonard might be with a shout.
Ned Leonard as well, yeah. He's bowling for the 2s. I think he got a couple of wickets, did he? Yeah, 2 for 37 from his 14 today for old Ned Leonard. Any advance on that then?
No, I would go with that. I'm very happy with that. If we could get that team out on the field, I certainly like the fact that both Goldsworthy and Banton are in your 12.
Well, that's my top. My top 7 is fixed, and then it's just whichever walking wounded we can strap a pair of bowling boots onto and get out on the pitch.
I just wonder about Tom Lammonby though, whether he needs a rest, whether he needs a break. I don't know. I just don't know what's happened to him. When you think back to 2020 and those 3 centuries that he got in the Bob Willis, and what's happened to him since. I just, Shane Berger must surely be trying to sort something out with Tom Mellanby, because he's such a talented cricketer, but he just hasn't scored any runs in any format recently. And it's really sad. And whether he needs a break, I don't know. But
I think only the player would really know that. And I think if he wants a break, he would ask for a break. I mean, I think, what do we need? 2 points to be mathematically safe from relegation? 1 or 2, something like that. I think Kent are 46 points behind us.
But we don't want to end another season with a whimper.
No.
Like we did last year, being beaten by an innings by blooming Kent, being bowled out by Nathan Gilchrist, who we rejected. I mean, it's not. We started the season badly, and we don't want to end the season badly. We need to end the season with 2 wins. And at the moment, it's honestly hard to see it. Thank God that Zach Crawley won't be playing for Kent. Otherwise, he probably had 250 in before tea on the first day.
Should we have a little chat about that England side? Because obviously, congratulations to Craigo. Getting an England call-up and another England cap is a great thing. But this isn't the England team. This is the England Lions. Surely, how are these?
Yeah, quite.
They're not full one day. What's the point of playing these? 2-3 weeks out from the World Cup, however long it is. I think it starts 6th of October, 5th of October, something like that. So what's the point of playing these England Lions games against Ireland? Because they're not full England side. It's not a full England team. Because if they were, Joss Butler and Stokes et al. would all be playing, and it wouldn't be Zach Crawley, Craig Overton, and the like. So what is the point?
Money.
Well, I was reading somewhere that don't one-day internationals lose money or something like that, or
I don't know.
But yeah, it's. I think you hit the nail on the head there, Ben. It just seems strange that. Why aren't the full England team playing then?
Contractually obliged to play that number of games by Sky, I would imagine. Yeah. Don't want to be playing Stokes and Butler et al. To quote what you said, Shep, and therefore, we need to pick players who, A, if we need to call somebody up, they're ready, but B, we're not risking our frontline team. That would be my take on it.
Just seems daft.
My data is just running out, so I'm going to have to leave you on that unhappy note. But I will look forward to seeing you, Sheps, and you, Ben, next week against Kent. A much better performance, we trust.
Looking forward to it.
Cheers. Bye.
Should have crowdfunded some data for Gibbo. Never mind. Oh, yeah, it's funny on that, but anyway.
I think you've got about 6 podcast titles out of Anthony in one evening there, Shep.
I'll tell you what, Ethereal G and the Wurzels, that's going to take some topping. Ben, have you got a selection choices for Kent next week then? I'm not sure if we're doing one before Kent or not. We're probably going to have to be retreading this, but it don't really matter. I'm sure we'll probably signed a few players and got some on loan, and some have gone out on loan, and half the team will be injured before next week, so who knows.
I think I'm the same as you there, Shep. I think, as I say, Ned Leonard would be my wildcard pick, potentially. I think Shoaib Bashir, probably I'd give him a rest. Might be that he plays against Warwickshire last game of the season. I doubt the pitch is going to spin anyway. So I think I'm probably not sure about Ben Green. I think that probably I'd rather see more of Ned Leonard and see, because I think, again, with these, we call them youngsters, they're not actually all that young anymore compared to, the years of they've sort of come through and played some cricket. And I think we're going to need to see more of Ned Leonard to know if Ned Leonard is going to be an option on the cards moving forward in Championship cricket. I think you've got to play these people, and I know he's had a taste of it here and there, but he's been unlucky with injury. And
he's played 3 games, isn't he?
It's
Maybe it was
debuting.
Lancashire a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
Played
Yeah.
Hampshire the first game of last season, where half the team were either injured or had COVID.
Yeah.
And he might have played one more since, so it's not. He's not had a great deal of.
He's been unlucky with injury.
Yeah.
He's bowled okay in the one-day cut without saying "pick me." A little bit inconsistent, but I think what have you got to lose, really? You know,
Is he another
If
one
you're
that
not gonna-
you'd say
it's a
potentially
very
you give
good
him these
point.
last 2 games?
Yeah, because if you're not going to try them now, when are you going to give them a chance? Because, if next year at the same time we're in the contention, you wouldn't do it. Or if we're fighting to avoid relegation, you wouldn't do it. So that's the argument that I would go ask Banton to open, pick Goldsworthy at 4, and maybe give Lammers the rest for the rest of the season.
Yeah. I mean,
Tom Banton loves batting against Kent. And I know
Certainly
that's
does
white
in
ball,
white
but he's
ball
got
cricket,
a
yeah.
very good record.
Scores hundreds
Let
of
him
fun.
open. Say, go out. What have we got to lose if Banton goes out and gets a very quick 35 in both innings, and Tom Abel is now coming in at 52 for 1 in the 10th over? That's an awful lot better than 7 for 1 in the 3rd over.
but
Let's try something a bit different.
Yeah.
Let's,
I'd be interested to see if Tom Banton plays. I guess the next question is how he plays. When he I always go back to when he came on into the fourth. That season in 2019, everyone harps on about his white ball talents, and yeah, they were amazing. They got him sort of way up into the chain of England and franchise gigs probably before he was quite ready. But I think some of his most impressive performances that year are actually in the red ball game. He scored a lot of sort of, without getting 100. He's got a lot of valuable contributions, notably at Guildford as well when he was in it against Liverpool 30 for 3. But he played properly. He played really properly, and I think. I still have
anyone who watched him in the Blast this year would have seen that he just seemed to be a lot more correct. Seemed to be a lot more top hand. He just seemed to be timing the ball a lot more crisply. Obviously he's got his repertoire of reverse flicks and scoops and all this, that, and the other. But he didn't seem to be slogging. Not that he ever really was a slogger, but there just seemed to be a lot more technical correctness to him this year.
Yeah, I think if he can find the tempo that suits.
Yeah, that's the word, tempo. That's the word for him.
I've also seen Tom play 4-day cricket where he's almost scared to play a shot, and because he doesn't want to get out playing a reckless shot, and that also didn't really work for him. So I think if he can find that tempo, I still think he's remarkably talented and could go on and have a very good red ball career, but. He's got to get in the team and he's got to establish himself in the team. But yeah, for me, I just think that there is a lot of potential there.
If you emailed or asked 17 head coaches around the country, would Tom Banton be in your Red Bull County Championship top 6? How many yeses do you think you'd get?
16, because there'll always be one mad person in the 17. But yeah, I think he would. Definitely.
I don't know, but because I do think it's a project. But it has potentially significant reward if they get it right. Because I think if you're looking at ways in which Somerset can manoeuvre themselves up the table in the next couple of years, they're not going to do it by bringing in. They're not going to randomly go out and sign 4 world-beating batters and bowlers. They're going to have to find the answers from within. And I think he's someone that, if you're looking at ways for Somerset to manipulate their way up towards the top end of the table, that's a project that if they got right, could help that cause.
And it was a project that was kind of on schedule, but it just seems to have stalled this season. Pretty much when I don't say that it was a mistake to sign Cameron Bancroft, because at the time it was, very touch and go with whether Tom Abel was going to be fit or not, and I think he probably came back a week or two earlier than was predicted. But it just then kind of log jammed all those batters in there, and it just so happened to be Bartlett that got the nod, and it could quite easily have been Banton that came in for whatever the third or fourth game, whatever it was, instead of Bartlett. So, it's a sliding doors a lot of the time. Is you've got, if your chance comes along, you've got to take it. And fair play to GB, did take it. Marvellous 100 up at Middlesex. Another one against Notts. Just a shame that he's moving on to pastures new, but. I mean, it could be, Banton could get the nod next season and he could be away. But I think he's just got to play next week. They both have, him and Goldsworthy. I mean, what would you have said? I mean, there's quite a few incredible statements that we could have made at the middle of March that you'd have thought, what's he talking about? Sean Dixon being top scorer in the semi-final, the final on Blast Day, and you're going to sit here on the 18th of September with neither Lewis Goldsworthy nor Tom Banton having played a championship game for Somerset. I know Goldsworthy's had a few little injuries, but you would have thought at least one would have had a go. But
you'd have. I reckon if you'd have said the over/under on appearances, you'd have started up for the two of them combined. You'd have started with at least 10. I would have said at the start of the season that between them they'd play at least 10 championship games. So, but I go back and I'm going to say it, if we can and the opportunity's there, why not try something a bit different? And I'm not saying to Tom Banton go and play T20 style cricket, but I mean in terms of selection, try something different for 2 games.
Yeah.
See
it's
what
not
happens.
reinventing the wheel, is it? It's,
No.
Our batting is struggling and we've got 2... they're not proven batters in the sense of they've got a massive body of championship runs to look back on, but they are solid enough championship players, and your batting has been letting you down for the whole season pretty much. It certainly has in the top order, so why not give them a go?
It's always the story, isn't it, that if you're not in the side, the best way to be liked by the fans is to be not in a side that's
you're always
not
a better
doing
player on
very
the
well.
outside,
and it makes you a better player. But I'll counter that by saying, what have we got to lose now? Yeah, okay, Anthony wants us to finish strong. I get that. But if we aren't going to finish strong, I'd rather we didn't finish strong having given them 2 a chance than done the same old thing.
It's not like we're saying, we'll pick Archie Vaughan and Thomas Rue for these last 3 games. You're not talking about the really, really young, unproven players, are you? Talking about 2 guys that deserve a chance.
Yeah. Tom Banton's won T20 finals day. He's been in a winning one-day cup side and played important innings in that game as well. He's done it on the big occasion. It shouldn't faze him, I don't imagine. He seems to me a pretty upbeat and confident sort of guy. Mm-hmm. And Lewis Goldsworthy is just one of those people you want to have in your side, in my view.
Definitely. Right, shall we move on to listeners' questions then? Because I've got a feeling we're going to get a good few minutes out of these. Richard Friedman. Now, I think Richard's got a little conspiracy theory going here.
Yeah.
We love a conspiracy theory. The recurring theme of Lewis Gregory's contract, writes Richard. Strange that him lifting the T20 Blast Trophy wasn't on the 2024 membership marketing materials. Is this where Ben says it was and we all missed it all?
So it was, yeah. It is the trophy lift is in there. Yeah.
Calling Richard a liar. We're sure it's on there. So are we saying to Richard, conspiracy theory denied?
I'm just going to look it up.
Must be on there. Right. AK has asked, how do we as a club move forward to actually compete for a championship title next year? Bowling unit is ageing. Young bowlers don't quite look ready to take over, and the batting this year has been rather poor outside of Rue. But unlike the bowling, there is plenty of talent. Well, I think AK's pretty much nailed it. We need to improve our young bowlers from within, and we need to find that magic
You improve
Yeah.
you improve it for the start by getting Devon Conway and Matt Henry back next season. That would
Devon Conway. So we're jamming up the batting again.
no.
No, we're not. I'm
No,
going
because
to grab another rascal. Talk amongst yourselves for 2 minutes.
So my theory there is you have Devon Conway or his ilk, but I wouldn't go away from Devon Conway. And a few weeks ago, we were one of the best bowling sides in the championship with Matt Henry. So, Matt Henry makes a difference, a huge difference. We've got no Craig Overton, we've got no Jack Leach, we've got a half-fit Lewis Gregory, and we've got an unfit Josh Davey at the moment. You get all of them fit. Bash will have had a season under his belt, and I'm sure he's going to come back a better player next year. And that's a development if you want a second spin option. James Rew, I don't think James Rew is going to have anything but an upward trajectory there. And you wouldn't be surprised to see a couple of the other youngsters we saw in the Metro Bank pushing as well. So I don't think we're that far away. I just think we've got to sort out the top of the order, and if we could get where we were averaging, over 50 in the season for the opening partnership, I think it would fall into place. I don't, it's not. Somebody once said it sort of clicks, and I think it might well click. And I know people are going to say I've got my maroon and black tinted glasses on again, but when you look at other teams, and you said a minute ago, 17 first-class county coaches were offered Tom Banton. I look down a lot of the sides in the top division, and I'm like, there's not a huge number of people in there that I would jump at if they came and knocked on my door tomorrow and said, I want to play for Somerset. And you've always got to look at that, haven't you? I think other clubs at the moment are getting more out of what they've got than we are. And I won't say any more than that. I'd let everyone interpret that in its own way.
I think next season's going to be really difficult to recruit overseas players. I think it's going to be
such a congested schedule. But then it's got to be difficult for everybody else as well. So it levels itself out, really, doesn't it?
Yeah, I'm not saying that Somerset are at a disadvantage by that, but I think it's going to be very, very tricky to see Matt Henry in bowling in a Blash Somerset next year, which is sad, isn't it? Really, because that's
we kidnap him. Can we do that?
Unless we unless New Zealand somehow don't pick him in a World Cup squad, which I'm probably thinking that they probably
start some sort of disinformation campaign. Do you know anybody in do we start a Russian bot farm going on to discredit Matt Henry? No, we can't do that. We couldn't do that. As much as we'd love to see him back at Taunton next year, you'll see his first loyalties to the Black Caps. Did you see their squad reveal video? That was amazing. Have a look at that. It's one of the most heartwarming and cutest things I've ever seen. I won't spoil it for you, but if you just have a look on your socials for the New Zealand Black Caps World Cup squad reveal video.
I'm going to share my screen to you, Shep and Steve, for the next 10 seconds so you can see.
Just the next 10 seconds. The 11th second must be Lewis Gregory's contact.
See Lewis Gregory.
Yeah. What have we got here then?
Yeah.
Gregory lifting the trophy. Yeah. Our region rises. Right. We rise as one. Loving it. So, did you? I missed. I'm sure there was something down on the left-hand column about contracts and ins and outs and stuff like that. And contract announcements 2024, something like that. But yeah, so to answer your question, AK, I think recruitment is going to be difficult. The batting has been, I mean, 'twas ever thus, I suppose. Kit Harris, if you were a neutral observer, would you advise Tom Banton to leave Somerset?
No.
If I was Tom Banton's agent and I was Tom Banton, I would want to have a real frank sit down and discussion with Sarge and Jace, I think. I think that's only fair.
The question for me is, do the positives from the T20 outweigh any negatives? That's got to be a prime consideration. But I would find it hard to justify why he hasn't been given a chance in Red Bull this season. So I can see where Kit's going with that. Yeah, Kit's probably asked a question I've asked myself and then go, no, don't ask yourself that. Don't think about it.
But yeah, I mean, going back to what we said about the other 17 first class coaches or selectors or whatever, you've got to think at least 10, 12, 13 of them would like to have Tom Banton in their top 6.
What worries me is if Worcestershire come back up, is there there's a bit of, I know Warwickshire, Worcestershire,
that way, yeah.
There is a bit of a connection there, and that, you've got to look at that as well. What teams would he potentially, if you're going to Tom Banton, you're going to go to somebody else who say, okay, I'm going to come and join Lancashire. Well, top order's pretty solid at the moment. Would he get a chance in there? So that's a consideration as well. But, Worcestershire coming up could well be something he looks at.
Yeah, could be. I mean, if I was Banton, I'd be pretty pissed off that I'd not managed to get a go in Red Bull cricket, and I don't know if Bartlett having had a go and then leaving just makes it stick in the throat a little bit more. I don't know. I mean, I think we all, I think the reason that Bartlett's left is they're all fairly legitimate reasons, and we wish him well. He's going to get much more of a gig in white ball cricket for Northants than he is for us. I think that was a big factor in a 3-year deal as well. So
let's just hope that they don't start a Saudi Arabian pro cricket league and sign him for 250,000 a week. Well, okay, if I've missed it then if they have.
Well, they probably started one somewhere. Mike Unwin, what jigsaw would you like under your Christmas tree? Well, you're a couple of months early there, Mike. I don't know. Jigsaws? A Black & Decker one. There you go, just to give you the old switcheroo.
Oh, DIY. Very good.
I don't know. Roll off doing the roll-off.
Camper van.
There we go. Yeah, or a jigsaw, of that lovely drone shot of the county ground, or I don't know.
I know what the answer is. Anthony would like to make a jigsaw out of the commentary cabin at the end of the season.
Let's do it. It needs its Viking longboat funeral down the Tone with it set ablaze. So. Big Trev asks, not neutral, but depends on what. I think he's answering somebody else's question. See, when people dive into the notifications, it all gets confusing. He does close with, the grass is not always greener on the other side. See hose / sales. Oh, Sale. He must say.
Ollie Sale.
Yeah, but then I could sort of. Not every player who's left Somerset has gone on to worse things, i.e. Nathan Gilchrist and, of course, Jamie Overton. But I think if you leave for the right reasons, I don't think anybody cannot wish you well. AK goes on. Oh, he's got a 2-part question. You need to put thread if you're having a 2-part question. Abel has shown frailties and lack of improvement. For example, Lammerby has all the talent in the world, looks extremely solid in the defence, but finds ways of getting out. Is this due to coaching or mentality? I think we've had a good go on Tom Lammerby tonight. There was one other good question, which I thought was good, from Scott Wilson. This is non-cricketing related, insofar as what goes on the pitch. Given that outgrounds have sadly been done away with, do you think Somerset could do more to make the county outside of Taunton feel this is their team? I regularly visit Bath and you see next to nothing about Somerset cricket there. This year on the night of the T20 quarter-final, you wouldn't have known the county had a big game. Could they show big games on big screens in places like Bath, Wells, Glastonbury, etc., or even have temporary club shops visiting these towns with players doing signing sessions on days off? Good points. I mean, obviously Bath is a big rugby town.
It's a good question. Yeah. We do a few bits and pieces. It's probably difficult to do things quite as drastic as show quarterfinals on big screens in towns around Somerset through the likes of licensing and bits and pieces. That'll be quite a significant project. But absolutely.
I mean, let's be fair. When it's a football semi-final in Manchester, it's very rarely on a big screen and the fans are there. So I kind of get Scott's point, but it's not.
There's certainly a lot of things that we are trying to do. A lot of it's kind of more working with sort of playing side and trying to engage with local communities through sort of the foundation and bits and pieces out, rather than sort of putting up billboards of Somerset versus Kent coming soon in Bath. But it's a really good question. We are kind of always looking at ways in which to do it, but there's more that we can do to kind of engage with people outside of Taunton. A lot of stuff we do digitally, but there's a lot more that we can do to engage with those people. I certainly don't disagree with the comment.
Are we going to see some of the Metro Bank Cup games possibly going to outgrounds?
No.
I was just going to say, I mean, my formative years, Dad and I probably could count about 7 or 8 grounds in Taunton that I've seen Somerset play on, as well as Torquay. And because we actually weirdly played a minor counties side in the Benson Hedges Cup at home down there for some reason, I remember years ago. But that was the case, and I am not exaggerating, where the club towed the club caravan, which was like the secretary's office, and printed the scorecards, and that was pretty much it. Now from an accountant looking at it, Ben said to me, "Right, Steve, can you do me a budget for shipping the whole process up to Bath for one Metrobank Cup game in August? Leaving aside everything else, you've got to get all the live stream equipment up there, because people wouldn't be very happy with, sorry, there's no live stream because we're playing at Bath today. You've got all the advertising stuff now. And the flip side of that is that the fact that the county ground is such an amazing cricket venue now owes the fact that the club has invested there and hasn't diverted money elsewhere. So much as I've got sympathy for people in Bath, Western-super-Mare, and Dad used to take his annual holiday, so that the second week coincided with the Western-super-Mare Festival, and we had some fabulous days up there. We used to go to the Bath Festival most years as well as going to places like Westlands and Glastonbury and that for John Player League games. So I get it, but that's not the way the game is now. And it's unless somebody's going to give us an endowment, us the club an endowment, means we could fund doing that. But I suspect, Ben, that the amount of money, if you sat down and costed it, would be pretty eye-watering to move. Just say a T20 or a Metrobank game to one of those grounds, let alone a championship game.
Yeah, I mean it's twofold, isn't it? It's your costs plus your revenue lost versus your revenue lost by not playing at the Cooper Associates, because you take every Metrobank game, we have 5,000-ish crowds, great entertainment going on. It's everything from, you mentioned it, Steve, in terms of shipping stuff up to another location, security, safeguarding, all of the ground, the quality of grounds, the pitch, these are things that, I know other counties do it. I'm not saying that, we're in completely alien territory. Other counties have done it, but it's not. I think Somerset's got a very strong fan base that are we're sort of unique in the Metrobank, for example, that we've got such huge crowds. So I think a lot of grounds are playing it outgrounds because the positives outweigh the negatives in terms of the revenue, because they're only getting 1,500 people in. You can accommodate 1,500 people.
If you're getting 1,500 people in at Old Trafford, for example, it makes sense maybe to lift and shift it to Southport.
Yeah. And then the people up here will say, last year, was it, they took a game to Sedbergh, which wasn't even in Lancashire and is in the back of nowhere and really hard to get to, and there was no public transport there.
Yeah.
So, that was the fact that probably the cost of...
the transport links to Taunton are absolutely top notch. 2 minutes off the motorway, 2 minutes from the train station. Can't ask for much more.
Which is another positive, isn't it? But I guess if you look at those outground examples, there's more benefit for the Lancashires of the world, because the benefits of bringing cricket around the counties. Absolutely, there is a benefit to doing that. We'd love to be able to take cricket around more of the county, but there's not the drawbacks financially, because Lancashire would have had, I don't know, 1,500 people go to a Metro Bank Cup game at Old Trafford, but they could fit 1,500 at Sedbergh or whatever. So it's not their main source of income. They have a hotel, they have Test cricket, they have, whereas our Metro Bank Cup is a big source of our revenue. So, it'll be financially very, very, very challenging to do anything.
There we go, Scott. It'd be nice to do, but I think just logistically, I'm just picturing you, Ben, one day just seeing an email come in. We're having this Metro Bank One Day Cup game at Bath. Can you pack up all the live stream stuff?
It would be worth actually getting the new chief exec and just saying to him as a wind up on the first day, can you send Ben an email in March saying, I've got a couple of things, Ben. One thing I've decided is exactly that. We're going to move our second home Metrobank game to Bath. Can you come back to me with costings proposals by the end of next week, please?
Well, it'll be me stood with my iPhone like that. Just. Well, no, that's the point. Was it Derbyshire? Their live stream went down, didn't it, when they were playing at? Was it Derbyshire? One of the Durham. Yeah, the live stream went down.
But it's all on the quality of the internet, really. That's if you've got a good quality internet, and when you can effectively pick it up and plug cameras in, and hopefully it all works. But if you've not got internet and you're playing at some ground without a lot of signal, you've got the best technology in the world, but if you can't get it into someone's house because the internet's not playing ball, then you ain't got a lot of hope.
There we go.
So I'm not keen.
No. It would be nice, but yeah, like you say, the logistics and all the cost involved. It's just, if it's something the club's going to lose money on for the sake of a few people getting a train from sort of Weston-super-Mare to Taunton or wherever, I think all the reasons that we've come up with are valid ones, and it really does actually seem to be only the bigger TMG counties that do it. I know, do Glamorgan still play a game at Colwyn Bay? I can't remember. I know they stopped playing at Swansea a long while ago. Gloucester don't really do it, do they?
Cheltenham Festival.
The
Cheltenham Festival.
Cheltenham Festival.
But I don't
Hampshire
think there's an example of a county that would sort of have a big crowd that they would diminish by playing it in outground. I think that the only argument you could possibly make for a Somerset would be to play a championship game outside of Taunton, because in theory the audience there of we get a rough average gate of 2,000 people.
But that's still a lot. That's still a lot for a club ground to cope with.
You'd still lose on that, no question about it. But you're sort of losing a lot less than the 5,000 to 8,000 that would come into a white ball game. So I don't think there's any other examples out there where a county has sort of taken a sacrifice on sort of 60% of their expected audience to play outground cricket.
So there we go, Scott. Hope you've answered your question there. I think that's it for listeners' question. Lord Lupin, Durham fixture 2024, a must. Surely the ECB cricket bad boys together. Although no, Hampshire got fined as well for having a bit of a dodgy pitch. I didn't see the ins and outs of it, but Simon Lee is in trouble again with the powers that be. Any other business, chaps?
Not from me.
No, I think we're all good.
Happy days. Thanks
We'll
for
let
listening.
Ben go and cut his birthday cake or whatever.
Well, I've got to go. We've got a Max Waller golf day at Dayton in Dayton Park Golf Club in Newton Abbot tomorrow, so I've got to finish up a couple of more bits for that. We're starting off bright and early. Get everybody sent off away. I'm not playing, thank God. I'm not a very proficient golfer by any stretch of the imagination. As somebody once said to me, it must take a lot of balls to play golf the way that you do, Shap.
Oh dear.
Wop, wop, wop.
And on that high note,
we'll leave you till next week when we're probably going to be getting together again to talk about the Kent game like we have done in the last hour or so. Good night, everyone.